we're starting a new video. Rachel Catherine did this video, and I was like, I kind of want to do something like that. And that is books, you know from the title, books I have been putting off reading. So I have a million books I've been putting off reading. I have 400 books on my storygraph TBR, which is so fucking many. Not only do I have 400 books on my TBR, I have books that have been sitting on there probably since I was in high school. And I'm 25. Thank you, Rachel Catherine, for the idea. But I am going to be reading some books that I have been putting off reading for a while. So I've picked 4 books, 3 that have been on my TBR for a really, really long time, and then 1 that has just been sitting on my library app for the entire year. Like, I checked this book out in April, maybe even earlier, and I haven't read it. Haven't even tried to pick it up. The first book that I'm going to talk about is the first book on my storygraph TBR, and I own it because I had to buy it because you couldn't find it anywhere. And that is Welcome to the Underworld by Contemplate. So I had to buy this because you couldn't find it anywhere. This is like a mafia story. I don't really know what this is about. It's got pretty good reviews. Nobody talks about this series though. This is about a woman who woke up with amnesia 3 years ago, and then suddenly she's told that she resembles the Queen of the Underworld, which is a notorious crime lord who died 3 years prior. So I think it's just about like the underworld in Seoul. It's a 4-book series. Will I continue on with it? I don't know. Am I going to read the first one? Yes, because it's only 320 pages. And then I'll be able to finally get this book. So this book came out in 2012. So then I'll finally be able to get this book off of my TBR. And I'm really excited about that. Because, I don't know. I mean, is it even going to be good? I don't know. It's contemporary romance fiction. So maybe it's like a dark romance? I have no idea. We're just going to get into it. Okay, put that over there. The next one is All the Light We Cannot See. This book came out in 2014. That is probably when I put it on my TBR. But it has recently kind of had a resurgence in popularity. I saw a few other booktubers talking about it. I don't remember who, but this is a historical novel about World War II. And it's really well reviewed. It's just sounds good. I like a good historical World War II book. It won the Pulitzer Prize. One of my really good friends, one of my best friends, rated it 4.5 stars, and we have like really, really similar taste in books. And it is also currently being read by one of my other best friends, so that's kind of funny. I have it on my tablet. I know it's like really short pages and really short chapters, even though it is kind of long, so I think that will be kind of nice to read, where I just get to flip through it really quick. So that's fun. So that's the other book. I'm not really going to say more than that. I'll give some more information when I actually get into it, but All the Light We Cannot See. And this is called The Foxhole Court by Nora Sakavik. This is a sports queer mafia story. So Neil joined a lacrosse team, but he's also the runaway son of a murderous crime lord. I don't know. It's like a trilogy. It sounds fun. I have it on my tablet also. I've had this one also sitting on my library app for a really long time. So I'm going to be excited to not only get this off of my TBR, but also read this one that's been sitting on my library app for a while. I don't know. The cover is really ugly, but it sounds fun. It's like, I think it's just like a contemporary romance. It's just a contemporary romance, I think, but with sports and maybe like a little bit of thriller. Okay, and then the final book that I want to read that I've been putting off is Thank You for Listening by Julia Whelan. I checked this book out in April of this year. So I've just had this sitting essentially for the entire year. This has been sitting on my Libby app and I have not touched it. This is a romance. I know Julia Whelan has narrated a bunch of really popular audiobooks, specifically Emily Henry's. I don't really enjoy listening to romance on audiobook. If I'm listening to anything on audiobook, it will be fantasy. But this book was really popular last year. And I think it's about, the main character is an audiobook narrator. She narrates kind of one last romance book, and then I think falls in love with the person she is narrating opposite her. I don't know. I am just going to read it to get it off of my Libby app. So those are the 4 books I've been putting off. The first book that I'm going to read, I think, is All the Light We Cannot See, because it is due in about 10 days. It's 400 pages, but it's got 178 chapters. So I think it's just going to be like every chapter is like 2 pages. Those are the books. This is a really fucking long intro. I don't know why, but that is what I'm going to be reading. That is my plan. Thank you for tuning in. And let's read some books that I've been really putting off reading for probably about 10 years now. So, thank you. And we'll check in a little bit. So, books I've been putting off. You know what else I've been putting off? Filming this fucking video. I finished Light We Cannot See a little bit ago, like last week. But I haven't started another book for this video. But I am going to start Thank You for Listening by Julia Whelan. This is the book that hasn't been on my TBR for a long time, but I've literally been putting off reading it this entire year. Like, I checked it out and I just haven't read it. I mean, it's a romance. It's just kind of the update on the next books that I am starting in this video. That's the little update on that. I really, really liked Oh, Light We Cannot See. I thought it was so good. I think it has bumped to my list of my new favorite historical World War II novel. I loved the story. I loved kind of the differences that we see. I thought it was a different perspective. I thought it was fun. I thought it, like, kept me really engaged because not only there's, like, the war, obviously, but then there was, like, there was, like, a bunch of underlying plots that kind of kept you on your seat a little bit more. And since it was, like, past and present tense, it was, like, you'd be reading the present tense and it'd be super intense, and then you go back to the past and you'd be like, oh my god, I have to get back to the present. So I thought that was a really good writing choice. The short chapters were also, like, it was just good, and the story was really beautiful. Obviously, you know, you're gonna cry. It's a World War II story. Now we're gonna do a little romance and see if I like it. I know this book was not necessarily popular. A lot of people talked about it last year, and that's a little bit on that. So thank you, and let's go. So I don't even remember the last time that I filmed an update on this video. I think I had said that I was starting Thanks for Listening. And I did start Thanks for Listening. And I finished it. And then I also started the Foxhole Court. And then I finished that. So since my last update, I have read 2 books for this video. No longer they are put off. That means I have one more book to read. And that is Welcome to the Underworld by Contemplate. The font is kind of small, but the book itself is like 300 pages. So, I mean, super thin, really floppy. And the font is kind of small, but I mean, I don't know. So, really not sure what this one was about, but this is the oldest book on my TBR shelf on Storygraph. So, it'll be really nice to get this kind of out of the way. And then I will talk about all 4 books I read. How does it feel to read these books that I've been putting off for so long? And what did I think about them all? So, I'm going to start this book probably not today, but maybe soon. I'm really excited to fucking read this, finally. So, I hope it's good. It came out in 2012, so I don't know. We'll see. But I'm excited. That's my little May update. Yeah, let's fucking get into this final book. Everybody, I am here for a little update. This book, let's talk about it. I'm on page 162 and I am really conflicted. So going into this book, I really had no idea what direction it was going to take, and now that I am like over halfway through, I have a little bit better of an idea. So our main character, Yori, has amnesia. She woke up 3 years ago. She doesn't remember anything. And she lives in Seoul, South Korea. And I'm not even kidding. But the next part I'm going to talk about is the setup for the book. She's working her like dead-end job at a diner. The guy comes in, orders a coffee. She goes to pour him coffee. The handle breaks. Dumps coffee all over his hands. And he's like, okay, I'm going to sue you and throw you in jail and like ruin the business, or you can come be my personal assistant and you do whatever I say. So that's just like a fan fiction setup, which is fine, but not what I was expecting in this book. So she obviously accepts the job to be his assistant, and she finds out that he is the leader, king of one of the 3 crime gangs in Seoul. From the back, you can tell that, like, the queen of the underworld, she went missing 3 years ago, the exact same time Yori woke up with amnesia. So it's pretty obvious that you can tell that, like, she's going to end up being the queen of the underworld. Like, it says that on the back of the book, essentially. So, I am not enjoying it. It's mostly just like funny. Like, the actions of the characters are pretty outlandish. The plot is really wild. Because mostly we have Yori spending time with Tae-hun, which is the leader of the serpents, the one that was like, you're my assistant. So they're spending a lot of time together, and there's like some like romance kindling, but she hates him. But she finds him really attractive. She can't name what she likes about him. She just doesn't like when he's not there. there's just a lot of that, and then like her being like, oh my god, I'm the assistant to like a crime boss, and she just has these really long internal monologues. She will ask herself like 14 questions in a row. A lot of it is just like her internal monologue, which is not great. She's really, I mean, this book was written in 2012, so I'm gonna give everybody a little bit of credit, but like, it's a lot of like, I'm not like other girls. I'm gonna finish the book, but unless this book ends like really, really, really well, I will probably not be continuing the series. Like, this book will need to blow me out of the fucking water. And so far it has not done that. It's just funny. It's just weird. It's just like the setup and the plot and the characters, and like, Yori is just really, really dense. This is the most disappointing book that I've read. But I don't know if there is ever a time where I would have enjoyed this book. Like, maybe if I had read it in 2012 when it came out, I would have enjoyed it. But I feel like past 2016, there's like, my enjoyment of this has just, the early possibility of my enjoyment of this has just slowly gone down, because it's such a moment in time. Anyways, that is my update on this book. I'm going on a train today. That's my little update. I'm hopefully gonna finish this at least by the end of today. So. I'm gonna be filming from like new location because we're moving right now, so everything is everywhere. But I just wanted to kind of wrap up this video. I finished Welcome to the Underworld like 2 days ago, but I haven't said anything about it. But let's talk. So finishing books I'm in the middle of. I read 4 books for this video. 4 books that I feel like I wouldn't have read for a really long time if I hadn't made this video. I read All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. This was such a fantastic read. I cannot believe I put off reading this book for so long. World War II, historical fiction, just fantastic story. The way everything wove together was amazing, and I feel like it was a good World War II story without focusing solely on the war. Like, I feel like it focused on like other aspects, and I know it was World War II, but like, there was a lot of spying and undercover and like just a bunch of other shit going on. So I feel like this is a really good job of like focusing on stories that aren't really talked about as much, different kind of like perspectives. So I don't know, I thought it was great, loved it, so glad I finally got to read it. Then I read Thank You for Listening by Julia Whelan. This one was a book that I had checked out from the library since like the beginning of the year, and I was like, okay, I need to read this fucking book. I feel like I'm never gonna read this book unless I just read it now. So finally read it. I'm really glad I did. I actually did enjoy this. This is a romance, more kind of like leaning into like a literary book, because I feel like it was a lot of character development. We have our main character, Sawani, who is an audiobook narrator, and she was an actor until a tragic accident, and she doesn't narrate romance because she's like kind of cynical. And then the author that gave her like a start posthumously is like, will you please read my last book, with the famous Brock McKnight. And you know, the plot was kind of predictable, but it was still fun. It was definitely made me laugh, definitely brought some tears to my eyes. Just a really heartfelt romance that I really, really enjoyed. And then I read The Foxhole Court by Nora Skavik, I believe. This book is another book that's been on my TBR probably since it came out, so like 8-9 years. And this is a like contemporary novel about a boy named Neil. And Neil is like on the run, and from his like crime boss, like murdering father. And then Neil joins this Exy team, and Exy is a sport that was made up by the author for this book series, which I had no fucking idea. So Exy is like lacrosse and field hockey had a baby. That's Exy. Apparently, I had no idea it was a made up sport. I thought it was just like, I was like, oh, like a random sport that exists, but no, completely fictional. Anyways, Neil joins this Exy team that is like, they take in like people that want to play Exy but are, I also hope I'm pronouncing it right, it's EXY, for me that's Exy, but people that need like a second chance, like maybe they have like difficult upbringing, like drug abuse other issues. So this Exy team is like specifically for people that do that. So Neil gets drafted on this Exy team, and then it's just kind of like dealing with the dynamics of the team. Everybody on this team has something going on. It was just fun. It was just a good time. Like, super short, not really super complicated. It's just like you're trying to figure out like how all these characters work together, because it's a team of like 10 people, including Neil. So it's just everybody has their own personality. It's kind of like the team is divided, and it's just like figuring out all the dynamics between these characters. It was just fun. It was just fun. I am definitely going to continue the series. It's originally a trilogy, but when I looked at the series, when I finished this book, the author has a book coming out in 2024. So I don't really know what that's going to mean. Definitely read the original trilogy, because it's just like a fun YA. Definitely the language and themes are slightly outdated, but I think that going into it, you kind of just have to be aware of that. But it was fun. It was a wild, wild ride. It was a wild, wild ride. And the final book that I read for this video was Welcome to the Underworld by Contemplate. This is the earliest book that has been on my TBR. It's been on my TBR, again, for probably like 8 or 9 years, so I'm so happy that it's finally off. This book, I had no idea what the fuck was going on in this book. It is written really very dated. We even use the phrase "not like other girls" in the actual book, because our main character, Yori, she suffered from amnesia 3 years ago, and she's just living in Seoul, South Korea, just like kind of working a dead-end job. And then, you know, she dumps the coffee on the guy's hands, and then he's like, well, either I'm gonna sue this business, put everybody in jail, or you're gonna work for me and be my personal assistant, and that you have to do everything that I say. It was just really, it is a moment in time, this book. I found all of the characters grating. I found the plot so insanely predictable. I mean, you can kind of tell from the back, like, Yori discovers that she resembles the Queen of the Underworld, who died the exact same time that she woke up with amnesia. And like, Yori sometimes gets into these like fits of rage where she's like, something takes over and she's like, oh my god, bloodlust, I never would kill anybody. And it's like, okay, well maybe it's your other person coming through, like you had a whole other yeah. As I talked about earlier in my other update, I was like, this book will really need to like blow me away at the ending for me to want to continue the series. It did not blow me away at the ending. I'm DNFing the series for now. Like, there is probably a 30% chance I will continue on with the series. I just found characters irritating. I did not like the writing style. Again, it was just written so long ago, and well, Foxhole Court and this book were written and released around the same time. I just think Foxhole Court, well, it isn't a great book. I had so much more fun reading it. And I think it's hard because these stories also focus on, like, mobs and, like, the criminal underworld. But, so it's hard not to compare them. But I think with the Foxhole Court, it's, like, it just was funner. And, like, even though neither of these are great pieces of literature, when I was reading the Foxhole Court, I was like, this is just silly. Where I was reading Welcome to the Underworld, I was like, this is just dumb. I didn't like the writing style, I didn't like the characters, yeah. But, you know, 3 for 4, not that bad. Well, that's it. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope this inspires you to also get some books off your TBR that you've been putting off reading for a long time. There is a very strong chance I will do another one of these videos because I have books that have been sitting on my TBR, sitting on my Libby app for a really, really long time, so I need to clear those books off. I need to start fresh because I have so many books to read. So Thank you for watching. My name is Emma, and subscribe, give it a like, a comment,